Hey, what's going on, guys? Thanks for checking out the channel. Of course, this is John with Just Thoughts. I really hope that you appreciate the content and information. If you do, don't hesitate to like, comment, subscribe. So over the next 3 days, what we're going to be seeing is the DNC, the Democratic National Convention, and you can view that online, or there are different channels on TV that you can view it at. Right? If you enjoy our content, if you enjoy Just Thoughts, do not hesitate to check that out. I really want to make sure that you enjoy that because what they're doing is that they're representing us. They're giving us a voice. They're giving us an opportunity to be able to, you know, give information that we think is important, and I think that that's really important. One of the three things that I think we should absolutely talk about is universal basic healthcare, universal basic income, and universal basic tuition. So universal basic healthcare I think is important because, just for example, right, we have a large majority of our elderly people that are having difficulty being able to pay for their medicine and pay for going to the doctor and stuff like that. And if we're not careful, what's going to end up happening is that their Social Security is probably going to be taken away. Their Medicare and Medicaid probably going to be taken away. And so it's our duty, it's our time to be able to voice our own opinion towards how we see the advantages towards having universal basic health care. I've mentioned before, other countries already have access to it, so that's one disadvantage that we have currently here in the U.S. that we definitely need to change. Right? So universal basic income. I've explained multiple times in multiple videos why I think it's absolutely necessary for us to create an equality amongst the starting line that people start in life, right? I've mentioned not everybody has the same access to resources, not everybody has the same environment where they grow up. Not everybody has the same mentor. So the best thing to do would be able to equalize that starting line, right? Absolutely necessary. Now, universal basic tuition. This is one of the ones that I find most important because just like what's happening with universal basic healthcare overseas, universal basic tuition is having the exact same situation. A lot of Eastern countries are deciding that they want to go ahead and give their students tuition free because it would be an investment. It would be a seed sown today that they would be able to reap tomorrow, right? That's extremely important due to the fact that what would happen, right? So just a thought experiment, right? What would happen if we had a situation where those people overseas that have been invested into heavily, right? They grew up and they had certain political or ideological differences than people in the United States who didn't have access to things like healthcare, universal and universal basic tuition. They would essentially have a strategic advantage over the United States, right? For us to stop that, we need to make sure that we're doing things like implementing universal basic tuition. That's a necessity. It's an absolute necessity, not just because I think it's important for us to go to school, but we have to be able to defend ourselves against other countries if they have strategic advantages against us that we can give to ourselves by creating the policy and legislation in place for us to do so, right? So the other thing that I think is extremely important that a lot of people haven't necessarily been talking about is what's happening on a global level, right? So oftentimes we don't speak on the globalist nature due to over the fact that over the last 3 years somewhat we've decided that we wanted to focus more on a nationalistic level, right? We wanted to get away from all the globalist type things that were happening over the Obama administration and focus on the more nationalistic information. But we just removed troops from the east, right? If we have troops that want to go back home, definitely absolutely need to send them home, right? But if we have troops that want to stay overseas and be able to defend our nation overseas, we need to let them stay there and do that, right? It's important from a strategic advantage for us to have troops overseas, right? So we're pushing troops out from the east. On top of that, what it looks like is happening is that a lot of the eastern countries are grouping together and forming an alliance that we used to call the Axis powers, right? So let's just be real honest with it, right? That's essentially what's going on. Now the difference, and I wrote an article about this, basically talking about what if the Axis powers had the technology that we had in the 21st century? What would that look like? Would they have won the war? That's just and if you want to check that article out, please do so. So not only are we removing troops, not only are they creating an alliance, But on top of that, they're essentially trying to dollarize their currencies, right? What has given us a strategic advantage is the fact that we have had access to the global currency, the global reserve currency at least, right? The dollar, right? So not only are they pushing troops out, they're creating an alliance, but they're also de-dollarizing. Those are three situations that um, aren't necessarily affecting us now. But what would happen 10, 15, 20 years from now if there was a confrontation? That's the question of the day. Of course, if you like the information, check out more of the information. Thank you. Have a good day. Don't forget to check out the DNC. Watch that. Have a great day.